There is something specific that happens when an avoidant develops a preference for one person that goes beyond attraction, beyond enjoyment, beyond the comfortable warmth of someone they like spending time with. Something that does not announce itself loudly, does not arrive with declarations or certainty or the kind of clean, uncomplicated choosing that securely attached people seem to manage so naturally. It arrives as a problem. That is the first thing to understand about what it looks like when an avoidant only wants you. It does not look like ease. It does not look like someone finally, peacefully surrendering to a feeling they have decided to stop fighting. It looks like disruption. Like a person who had a perfectly functional emotional management system, suddenly finding that system failing in the presence of one specific person, for reasons they cannot fully rationalize away, no matter how many times they try. The avoidant has encountered other people. People who were attractive, interesting, engaging. People who offered connection in forms that were easier to receive. And with those people, the system worked. The avoidant could engage at the level they were comfortable with, maintain the interior distance that kept everything manageable, and move through the connection without their walls ever genuinely threatening to come down. Then they encountered you, and something did not work the way it was supposed to. The distance they tried to maintain kept collapsing in your presence, not because you pushed against it necessarily, because something about who you are made maintaining it feel like a loss rather than a protection. Because the cost of keeping you at arm's length suddenly became visible in a way that keeping other people at arm's length never was. Because you were, for reasons they may never fully articulate, the specific person for whom the defense system's calculations stopped adding up. When an avoidant only wants you, one of the first things you will notice is the involuntary quality of their attention. It is not attention they decided to give you. It is attention that keeps returning to you, regardless of what their rational mind is doing with the situation. They can be in the middle of deciding that space is necessary, that the feelings are too much, that stepping back is the right move, and still find their thoughts gravitating toward you with a consistency that their decision to create distance cannot override. This involuntary quality is important because it is the thing that separates genuine singular attachment from general preference. The avoidant likes plenty of people, enjoys plenty of people, finds plenty of people attractive or interesting or worth their time. But liking someone does not produce involuntary attention. Wanting one person specifically, in that deep, particular, cannot be substituted way, does. You become the recurring subject of a mind that would, given the choice, prefer to think about you less. The behavior that follows that involuntary attention is contradictory in a way that is deeply specific to this dynamic. Because the avoidant who only wants you is simultaneously pulled towards you and alarmed by the pull. The wanting is real. The alarm about the wanting is equally real. And the behavior you observe from the outside is the visible result of those two things fighting for dominance on any given day, in any given interaction, in any given moment where closeness with you becomes either possible or actual. The days they are warm, they are genuinely warm, fully present in a way that feels qualitatively different from their default. The attention they give you in those moments is not performance. The openness is not calculated. Something in them relaxed enough to let the wanting simply exist, without immediately reaching for the management tools. The days they retreat, they are retreating from the wanting itself, not from you as a person, from the specific vulnerability of wanting one person, this specifically and this completely. The retreat is the defense system reasserting itself after those unguarded moments, trying to re-establish the distance that the genuine connection keeps dismantling. There is something about being the only one an avoidant wants that most people in this dynamic do not allow themselves to fully believe, because the behavior that accompanies it looks so much like the opposite. It is this: the uniqueness of what you are to them is precisely what makes them most likely to run. Other people do not inspire this. Other people the avoidant can manage, can engage with on their own terms, can take or leave without their internal architecture being significantly disrupted. You are not manageable in the same way. You are not take or leave. You are the specific person for whom the entire management system breaks down, which means that whatever they feel around you cannot be safely filed away into the compartments they use for everyone else. That unmanageability is the evidence of singular attachment. It is also the source of the most intense fear. Pay attention to how an avoidant talks about other people when you are around them, not in an analytical, searching for evidence way, but notice whether there is a quality of comparison that surfaces occasionally. Whether you come up as a reference point in their internal calibrations in ways that reveal how much space you occupy in how they think about people and connection generally. Whether the way they describe others has your name as an unspoken standard running underneath it. When an avoidant only wants you, you become the metric. Not consciously, not in a way they would ever say out loud, but in the quiet, structural way that matters most, in how their mind automatically reaches for you as the thing it is measuring everything else against. Nobody else produces quite the right feeling. Nobody else quite hits the specific combination of qualities that you carry. And the avoidant knows this on some level that operates below words, which is part of why the wanting does not diminish with distance the way it is supposed to. There is a particular kind of jealousy that surfaces in an avoidant who only wants you that is different from general possessiveness. It is not loud. It is not expressed as claim staking or controlling behavior. It is quieter and considerably more revealing. It is the specific discomfort of encountering evidence that you exist fully and vibrantly in a world that does not require them. That other people get access to the parts of you that the avoidant has been both drawn toward and running from. That your warmth, your intelligence, your specific and irreplaceable quality, all of it is available to people who are not maintaining careful emotional distance from it. That discomfort does not produce a direct response most of the time. It produces a subtle shift, a leaning in that happens slightly against the avoidant's better judgment, a reaching that occurs in the window between the alarm and the management, a quality of attention that sharpens in a way they cannot quite control. Because the idea of losing something you are not even fully allowing yourself to have is its own specific kind of unbearable. Here is what singular avoidant attachment feels like from the inside, as best as it can be translated. It feels like wanting something that your own hands keep destroying, like being hungry and flinching from the food, like standing at a door you have the key to and being unable to make yourself use it, like knowing, with a clarity that is almost cruel, that the thing you most want is right there, has always been right there, and the only thing standing between you and it is a fear so old and so deeply embedded that it has become indistinguishable from who you are. That is not a comfortable feeling. It is not a feeling that produces easy, clean, uncomplicated behavior. It is a feeling that produces the very contradictions you have been trying to decode from the outside. The pushing away that coexists with the inability to fully let go. The distance that never quite becomes permanent. The withdrawal that always leaves a thread. The running that somehow keeps ending in proximity. All of this is real. All of this is genuine. An avoidant who only wants you is carrying something for you that they may never find the language to deliver at the right volume, in the right moment, with the right consistency. And you deserve that acknowledgement. But wanting you singularly is not the same as being ready to love you in the way you deserve to be loved. Carrying a singular attachment is not the same as having the emotional capacity to show up for it. Being unable to fully let go is not the same as being able to fully stay. The wanting is real. The readiness is a separate question, and that question matters more than the wanting. Not because the wanting is insignificant, but because wanting without readiness produces exactly the dynamic you have already been living inside. The only version of this that resolves into something worth having is the version where the avoidant's singular wanting becomes the catalyst for their own reckoning, where the pain of wanting one person and being unable to receive what wanting one person requires of them becomes more unbearable than the fear that created the distance in the first place. That reckoning is theirs to have. You cannot have it for them. You cannot love them into it. You cannot wait long enough that it arrives on your timeline. What you can do is be so genuinely, completely, unapologetically yourself that if they do find their way through the fear, what they find on the other side is exactly what they could not stop wanting. Real, present, whole, and still, against all the evidence they gave you not to be, open.